So, again, welcome everybody to our hot topic today. We're going to be talking all about marketing and how to position yourself as that number one go to provider in your area. But we want to do it in a way that's budget conscious, right? Because we're all business owners. We all want to make sure that we're spending our money wisely and so that we can get the most ROI. And so, what I've done today is kind of put together about 6 or 7 of the best strategies that you can use that are things that are high reward and not a huge budget outlay. So I'm really excited to Dr. Chung here, Dr. Jessica Chung, reached out to me, I don't know, a couple months ago to kind of partner together.
Yes.
I thought, hey, you know what? Powerful woman leader. Absolutely.
Thank
I
you.
wanted to get on with her to do this together. So Dr. Chung, why don't you share just a little bit about who you are, kind of what you do, and then we'll get started.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lori. Welcome, everyone. Excited to see all of you who are joining today. I'm Dr. Jessica Chung. For those of you who don't know me, I am a doctor of nursing practice and a family nurse practitioner based in Tampa, Florida, where I own my clinic, primary care clinic, JC Healthcare and Associates. I'm also the founder of the International Business Association for Nurses, where we help nursing and healthcare professionals become entrepreneurs. And I'm excited to collaborate with Lori and Medical Marketing Wiz. And Lori's phenomenal. She really is going to give you a great idea of where you need to go with your practice in the marketing aspect. So I'm excited, even for myself, to listen to you today,
Well, I
Lori.
don't know. You've got your stuff going on. So hopefully I can share one or two things that you can take away too, Dr. Chung. But yeah, no, thank you so much. And I think both of us collectively, right? We're both like super passionate about working women,
Yes.
healthcare, helping to connect patients with the best providers that are out there. And that's ultimately our mission at Medical Marketing. As I say, it's fun because I now have a megaphone to let the world know who these best providers are. And
Yeah,
nurse practitioners, PAs, physicians
absolutely.
obviously are a really big part of that. But I absolutely love what you're doing. So I appreciate you inviting me to be
Thank
on
you.
today. So basically, what we're going to go over, and I'm going to try to jam pack a lot of information in a short amount of time. The one thing you guys will learn about me is that I am not a pie in the sky, like,
Mhm.
giving you just like very abstract ideas. I'm going to give you ideas that you can literally start to implement as soon as tomorrow. So we're going to look at first, how are people going about researching you and ultimately choosing you, hopefully, as their healthcare provider? I think that's important. We got to put ourselves in that patient's shoes and how they go about researching providers and some of the little things that you can do to really make yourself stand out when they're comparing doctor or nurse practitioner A, B, and C, that you are that clear go to person. I also want to touch briefly on some things with Google's algorithm, some updates that have happened since the beginning of this year that are important to know about from a search engine optimization standpoint. And then, like I said, I'm going to give you a 5 step marketing plan to position yourself as that number one go to provider in your area. And I always like to have a little ethical bribe to stick with me to the end. I've got a couple of pretty cool goodies to give away if you guys hang with me. So I'm going to pack as much as I can into about 35 minutes here. So promise it'll be worth your time. Just a little bit about me, why you should listen to me. Who is this Lori Werner lady? My previous life, I was in medical device sales. So some of you might recognize this little picture of me here with my little rubber uterus. That is a NovaSure. So I used to be a rep at Hologic, spent a lot of time in the operating room, spent a lot of time in literally thousands of doctors' offices across my career in medical device sales. I also spent a little bit of time in the pharmaceutical side of things. And honestly, the agency that I have kind of stemmed from actually one of my doctors that I was helping him do his marketing because I needed more people to ask about heavy periods and ablations than hysterectomies. And so it really was inspired by one of my doctors that was like, Lori, why do you work for this company? Right? Like you should just help doctors and nurse practitioners and other healthcare providers who want to remain independent, who don't want to get bought out by the hospital system and help them get the word out. And so that's really kind of where our agency stemmed from. I've been doing this a little over 8 years now. I've got a team of amazing women from coast to coast, and we're all really, really passionate about what we do. I think you got to love what you do to really, really be good at it, and that's kind of our mantra. We're also picky about who we work with. We want to work with people that are motivated, that have a vision and want to take action. So this is just a little bit about me. Also, I'm a mom and a wife and all of that other good stuff that we have to do on the off time as well. So I'm sure some of you guys can relate to that. And ultimately, I think what really helps us set ourselves apart is that we are very much your ideal patient. We are people that get cash services done. We are people that do a lot of homework. We're making the appointments for ourselves, for our husbands, for our aging parents, and for our children. And so a lot of what we do is very much through the lens of, how do I go about making a decision? Why would I decide to go to a specific healthcare provider instead of going to my primary care doctor that I've been going to for 20 years or my gynecologist that I've been going to for 20 years? So that I think is just something that's nice, is that we really are in a lot of ways that ideal patient that you're looking for. I touched a little bit about this, just kind of our mission. Our mission is really to just help patients find the actual best providers. And we want people that are offering advanced treatments, things like aesthetics, preventative medicine, hormone therapy. They spend time with their patients, and that really is what makes our job a lot of fun and very, very rewarding. So, kind of getting into the meat of everything here, I want to just touch briefly on how are people going about choosing a provider. So typically, and I hear this a lot of times on strategy calls that I do, I'm like, all right, so tell me about your practice. And they'll say, I get a lot of people from word of mouth. And word of mouth is king. And I feel like that's what I would do too, right? Like if I have a certain problem, I'm starting to go through menopause, I'm going to think about my friends that seem to be doing pretty well through menopause. And I might ask them, hey, Amy, who do you go to? Where do you go? And then, and she might recommend somebody to me. The other thing I might do is I might just go to Google and type in, best functional medicine doctor near me, best gynecologist near me, best women's health nurse practitioner near me. And then I'm going to go on Google and see who Google gives me as an answer. And then also you'll see Facebook groups. So for example, where I live, you guys can probably tell from my accent, I live in the Midwest. So I'm in a Facebook group for my town, and there's about 20,000 people in this group. And you'll see all the time people will post in there, hey, I just moved to the area. I need a new gynecologist. I need a new pediatrician. I need a new dentist. And then all of a sudden, people will recommend people. And so you want to be that person that everybody is recommending. From there, what they're going to do is they're going to go to Google and they're going to read your reviews. In fact, 92% of people are going to read your reviews before they ever decide if they're ever going to even go to your website, call, and let alone schedule an appointment. And if you think about ourselves, right, we do this for Amazon. We compare the reviews on different products we're thinking about buying. Even if you want Chinese food for dinner tonight, right? You're going to go and you're going to search for best Chinese food near me, and you're going to look for the reviews, and then you're going to decide from there. So this is something we have to be mindful of, because if you don't have some of this stuff in place, what I'll find is people are doing marketing 201. They're doing social media and Instagram ads, and they got influencers coming in and all this. And then I look them up and they've got 3 reviews on Google and they're nowhere to be found. Right. So we want to make sure that we have the foundational stuff in place first before we start spending time, energy, and money on some of these more advanced things. Ultimately, what they're looking for is, are you the person that understands them and can solve their problem? So they're going to go on your website. They're going to judge the quality of your care based on what your website looks like. If your website is all stock photos and they don't actually see who you are, most likely they're going to leave. They're looking for, what is your expertise? Do you have the authority and the experience to solve their problem? And then a lot of times they also want to know, what is this person's communication style? They might not know that until they actually meet you, but there's things you can do, like we're doing a webinar today, right? You're going to get to hear from myself and Dr. Chung and kind of get a feel for who we are and what we're all about. Same thing with you. You can do webinars. You can use social media to help improve your communication where people feel like, I like her. This is who I want to go. And finally, I found somebody that can actually solve the problem that I'm having. So if we sort of think about it, we've got these people that are strangers that have never heard of us before. And what we can't expect is to take somebody from stranger all the way to patient like that. It just doesn't happen. We're not selling products per se here. We're selling healthcare services. And then a lot of times we're selling healthcare services that may not be covered by their insurance. So we have to think about, how are we going to get somebody to go from stranger to patient? I can tell you it is not from posting on Instagram and saying, book an appointment with me, because that person doesn't know who you are. They're not going to just, if they do book an appointment, they're not going to show up. So we want to get them first to get on your website. Maybe that is through search engine optimization. It might be maybe through social media, they see you and then they land on your website. And it could be maybe even from a referral from a friend or from another doctor. Then we got to get them to land on your site and raise their hand that says, hey, I want to give you my contact information so that I'm kind of telling you, I've got this problem and you're kind of on my list of people that I'm looking at to help me. And then ultimately, you want to get your existing patients, you want them to know everything that you do. If they only come to you, and I say this, I do a lot of stuff with gynecologists. I'm like, somebody comes to their gynecology visit one time per year, they really don't want to be there, right? It's like going to the dentist. I know I got to get my teeth cleaned, but I hate going to the dentist, and I just go twice a year so I have a decent looking smile. Same thing with the gynecologist. They're not thinking about the way that they're going to come back to the gynecologist. So if you only are talking to those people at that appointment one time per year, and you bring in a new service 3 or 4 months later, and you're not staying in touch with those people with email, with social media, God forbid they get a message from some competitor or a medical spa or something like that. And now they're going and getting these treatments done by somebody else because they didn't know that you offered it. So your low hanging fruit always is going to be your own patients. The other thing is, these people can be huge promoters. So, as an example, I went through menopause at a very young age. Well, I say very young, it was 41. So, to me, that's young. And I, went through a lot of issues with that, with anxiety and weight gain and, all the fun things that happen with menopause. And so now I've had a lot of friends ask me, hey, Lori, where do you go? Now they're 48, 50, they're going through it. And I have personally sent 28 of my friends to my doctor that I get my hormones from. So that one person internal to your list can be a huge advocate for future people. And that's ultimately what we want to do. So the first thing that you want to think about, and you want to do this kind of again from the outside in, is what is a patient seeing when they look you up? There's two things with marketing. Number one, step one is you just got to get found. When someone's searching for nurse practitioner near me, gynecologist near me, medical spa near me, whatever specialty you're in, you first got to show up in the search results. From there, they're going to compare you versus 2 or 3 other people. So now you've got to get chosen. So step one we want to look at is, how do you actually get found when somebody is searching for a provider like yourself? So if we look at this, I just did a simple search in, functional medicine in Bethesda, Maryland. It's very clear to me who is probably getting the most phone calls. It's going to be the person not only that is ranking number one on Google, but it's this person has 163 reviews. When you start looking at some of the other options, now this guy actually looks like he's part of this. It has the same address. So this is a doctor that must work at this location. But when you look at the other options, if the other options don't necessarily have any reviews, it kind of looks like nobody goes there. So you want to show up in what we call the Google 3-pack, and you're going to do that in a couple different ways. Now, the way that you can do it that is the most cost effective, but quite honestly does take a little bit longer, is going to be search engine optimization. This is something that is very sticky, but it does take time. It's kind of something that accumulates over time. But over time, your marketing spend actually goes down because SEO, in a lot of ways, is going to be a lot less expensive than running Google ads. If you're a brand new practice and you want to just make sure you're showing up, you can put some money into Google ads, and that's kind of like renting the top spot of Google, renting versus owning. The things that Google looks for in terms of ranking you. Okay. And this is the list. There's actually over 200 things that they look at, but these are going to be the top 10. They're looking at your website content, meaning you need a page of content for every one of the services that you offer. So you cannot just have a page that says, I do these 10 things and they're in bullet points. Each page needs its own content and also the freshness of the content. So if your website was built 3 years ago and you've never really touched it since, that actually dings you in the Google algorithm. So you want to have fresh content. You want to be adding blogs. If you've got a webinar coming up, put that up on the website, add fresh content. Also, your mobile compatibility. So you want to make sure, again, all of us, most of us anyway, are looking at websites on their phone. And I know for me, if I go to a website and it's not, I'm trying to click on stuff or like the font's all messed up, I'm gone. I'm going to look at somebody else's content. So you want to make sure you've looked at your website on a phone and make sure that it works correctly. How fast does the page load? If I got to have the spinning wheel of death waiting for this website to load, I'm gone. And it's shocking to me how many people I do calls with that have never been taught this and don't know anything about this. So I won't go into all the details, but we'll kind of dive into some of these important ones and some of the things that you guys can do quickly. So the main thing that I would say that people need to look at their own website is, does your website position you with authority and credibility? And we find that about 75% of people that land on your site will leave if they don't feel like you're the clear authority. And so adding what we call social proof, these are things that will increase your appointment requests almost instantaneously. So what I'm going to go over are things that you could literally tell your web designer tomorrow to do that you will see much higher conversions on your website. And so tip number 1 is going to be leveraging your awards and credentials. This is things like, and I'm not talking about saying in your bio on page 3 of your website that you're a board certified family practice nurse practitioner. Nobody is reading that. We want that logo to be front and center on your website, technically what we call like above the fold. So like as soon as they land on your site, it's front and center on the top of that site. So sort of think of, an inventory of all the things that set you apart. So your board certifications, any sort of Patient's Choice Awards. If you're a member of your local Chamber of Commerce, that logo would be something you could have on there. Any affiliations. So if you're a member of the Menopause Society, or you're part of, I'm on the social media committee and I'm really involved with the International Society for the Study of Women's Sexual Health, also known as ISWISH. You want that logo to be on your website. If you've done training, maybe you're a certified BioT provider, or even if you just are a 5-star Facebook rated and a 5-star Google rated provider, those logos need to be on your website. The other thing is, think about what sort of awards are available in your area. Sometimes there'll be like a Patient's Choice Award or a Community Service Award. Try to research those and find 1 or 2 each year to put your name in the hat for. Because again, those are things that can really help distinguish you and differentiate you from the other person's website that's all stock photos that has nothing that really sets them apart. It's something that you can do. Again, not a lot of money, big reward. Second thing is going to be your Google business profile. This is actually the most important search engine optimization thing that you can do. And you can honestly even do this before you even have a website done. And this shows up. So all of us have done this, right? We've Googled Chinese food near me for dinner tonight, and we see the Google 3-pack. And then, we're really rarely scrolling all the way down and looking at every single individual website. Same thing with healthcare providers. Most of the clicks are actually going to happen on the listing itself, not necessarily them going directly to your website. So this is a core element of search engine optimization. And the beauty of Google My Business is it is absolutely free for you to optimize. So we'll talk about how to optimize it. So this is just a little peek at the back end of a Google business profile. So you get the option to add photos. You can add your business categories. So you can have up to 9 categories on Google of your business. A lot of times I'll get on and the business is listed as a medical clinic. It's like nobody is searching for medical clinic near me. And in all honesty, if you have yourself categorized as a medical clinic, you're competing with hospital systems, right? So, as an example, this office is a medical spa. They're also a skincare clinic. Now, if they do laser hair removal, we need laser hair removal clinic on there. If you're a functional medicine provider, you want to have alternative medicine, holistic medicine, women's health, all of those sort of categories on there. And then you want to have a keyword rich description of your business, your contact information, the entire service area that you're targeting. So if you're a telehealth, because I get this question a lot, like, well, what happens if I don't actually have a location? You're very much like medical marketing, Liz. We're all remote. We don't see doctors and nurse practitioners at our house to talk about marketing. We do everything on Zoom. So in that case, you can actually have your address. You can still have a Google business profile, but you can have your address hidden. And then you can just pick service areas, and maybe you're licensed in 3 states. So you would pick those 3 states and you can still have a Google business profile. Then you want to list all of your services. So this should list every single service that you offer. Again, this helps tell Google you offer all of these things. They're going to look at this before they ever scan your website. So we want to make sure to do that. And then you'll notice at the bottom where there's this from the business section, kind of in the bottom right corner of the screen here, and it says identified as women owned. So if you're a woman owned business, if you're a Latina owned business, if you're an African American owned business, if you're a veteran owned business, Asian owned business, I don't know, there's a whole bunch of other categories in there. Make sure you have that listed because you actually get a little bit of a boost in Google for categorizing yourself because there are a lot of people that want to go to a woman provider or like to support women owned businesses. So make sure that you have that as well. And then obviously there's other things you can do. You can do posts on Google Business and you can add photos. So adding photos, and I'm serious when I say I want a photo of your inside of your office, your outside of your office, your exam rooms, your staff, and even your bathroom. As many pictures as possible. If you're telehealth, how about a picture of you like on a Zoom meeting or, like a picture of you, um, at a training or speaking somewhere. Those sorts of things need to be on your profile because businesses that have photos receive 42% more requests for directions and 35% more clicks to their website than businesses that do not have a photo. A lot of times, again, when I'm auditing and doing marketing analysis, I'll see it's like a satellite picture of a dump truck in front of a building, and that's what their Google business profile looks like. And it's again because they've never taken the time to actually look themselves up and see what Google has already put on there. They haven't claimed their listing and they haven't added any photos. So you want to make sure to do that. And here's what I love about this. This is so measurable. So this is a 3-month before and after, zero cost, again, to do this, where you can look at their map results. So before they had 10,000 map views. In 3 months later, they had 28,000 map views. Search results, they had 9,000 search results before. Now they've got 14,000 search results. So it's very, very measurable, being able to kind of see the fruits of your labor of actually implementing some of those Google business optimization things. And then I do have a whole webinar all about reputation management. So I'm just going to touch on it real quick here, but Google reviews are a really, really big deal. And I love this quote, you could spend 20 years building up your reputation as a healthcare provider and everything that you've put into it. And all it takes is one nasty person to leave you a bad review. And you're not asking the happy people to leave review. Now all of a sudden you're farther down the search ranking, you're spending money on marketing, people are going to your profile and they're leaving. because of that. So it's important to make sure that you're asking for reviews. Now, again, a free way to do this, everybody knows how to use a QR code now, right? After COVID, we all have to do it with menus and everything. Everybody knows how to use a QR code. We order these cute little signs off of Etsy for all of our clients. This QR code you actually get from your Google business profile. So once you've claimed your profile, you can actually get a URL that you could text or email people to ask you to leave a review. And that's how you create that QR code. So you could have little cards that you hand out, you could have signs at the office, and you can also obviously use software. There's a lot of software out there that'll integrate with your EMR, that'll send kind of surveys to people and only ask the happy people to leave reviews. No matter how you end up doing it, just please do it. And Google reviews are going to be the number one priority. So there's a lot of other sites out there like Real Patient Ratings and RateMDs and these sort of sites. At the end of the day, Google favors Google reviews. So we want Google to be the priority. The only caveat to this is that if you don't have a Gmail email, you cannot leave a Google review. So all your patients that have Yahoo and Hotmail and AOL, they won't be able to leave a Google review. So Facebook recommendations, Yelp reviews, Real Self, some of those are good other options. But again, priority would be Google. Other things you can do. In the old days, a lot of people were doing blogs, and blogs are still important. We still do blogs as part of our SEO strategy, but that by itself really is not enough to satisfy Google's algorithm anymore. And so one of the things that you can do to really take that blog article and get 10, 20, 30 times the coverage, and sometimes even more than that, is turning it into a press release. So a press release is, if you guys have ever seen somebody's website that you've gone to that it's like, Dr. Chung as seen on ABC, NBC, CBS, USA Today, right? A lot of those sort of media coverage comes from doing consistent press releases. So the press release, let me actually, I'm going to see if this will let me do this real quick. I might have to log in. So if it doesn't, forgive me. Okay, cool. It worked. So this is just an example of a press release distribution report. So this is a client of ours that got an award. It was something that we do for our clients on a consistent basis is we research the awards and nominate them. And then when they win, we do a big to-do about it. So one of the things we did is we wrote an article. This particular doctor is located in Pennsylvania. So that article we syndicate it out via Newswire, and that gets picked up by Google News, Associated Press, the whole Pennsylvania Newswire. And then as you scroll down, you can see all of these different, this is her local ABC station, or there's a CBS station, or there's a radio station that have all picked up this article. So you can see here, this is an ABC station. This is her article. This is the doctor. And this is a whole article about how she won this award. And then down here, this is her website. So this is actually what we call in the marketing world a backlink. So kind of imagine there's a bunch of radio stations, TV stations, newspapers, et cetera, that are all backlinking back to Dr. Molden's website. This allows her to dominate the search results. And press releases are a relatively inexpensive thing to do. So press releases are kind of a little secret in the search engine optimization world that can really, really help get you media coverage. And then also kind of thinking about the credibility symbols, adding all of those symbols to your website. It's going to help convert people that land on your site. The fourth tip is going to be email marketing. Email marketing is not as fun and exciting as social media, but I will tell you guys, it has way higher conversions. So it has a higher conversion than both social media and search combined. There are 0 patient acquisition costs for you to send an email to your current patients announcing your menopause month webinar, announcing that you're now a BioTE provider, announcing that you have brought a new service into your practice. It's critical to nurturing your list. So I don't want you guys to think of email marketing like, my email that's full of like Pottery Barn trying to sell me 40% off furniture. From a provider standpoint, healthcare providers have the number two open rate of any email marketing that goes out at all. The only thing that beats healthcare providers is religious organizations. So don't think, oh, I hate those kind of emails. Your email is going to be focused on education, not spammy, salesy sort of stuff. So every month is a health month. And you can send out a newsletter. So this is an example. September is menopause month. A little article about menopause, some of the things that you're doing in menopause month. Maybe you've got an event coming up or you've got a video that's all about, vaginal atrophy in menopause, as this doctor has an example. You're giving them a healthy recipe. You're asking to leave Google reviews. Maybe you're highlighting a patient testimonial. These are things that you will be surprised patients really, really appreciate. It's something that sets you apart. You're continuing to educate them and keeping them up on all the latest advancements in whatever field of medicine that you're in. And 80% of the content needs to be just helpful information. 20% of it can be promotional. So again, like highlighting their event that they have coming up, or maybe they do have a special. You just want to weave that kind of in between the educational content. And I will tell you guys, this absolutely works. So this is a text that I received from a client literally about 3 weeks ago, who is now offering semaglutide. And she texted and said, "Good news. One of my frequent flyer cosmetic patients must have seen the newsletter and booked a consult for semaglutide." It's like, yes, that cost her nothing to reach out to that existing patient and just let them know, hey, don't go somewhere else for weight loss. I've got it here, right here in my practice. Also, open rates. You'll see 50, 40, some percent open rates, really, really high. Industry average is about 18%. So, people, if you're sending helpful information, you're going to get a lot of engagement on that. And again, education is really the best form of marketing. When we're in the healthcare space, people don't want to feel like their nurse practitioner, their doctor's trying to sell them stuff. We want them to feel cared about. We want them to feel like we're doing our homework. We're up on the latest advancements, and we're going to make sure that we're bringing the latest and greatest to our patients. The fifth thing to touch on is just going to be social media. So I like to remind people that social media is called social media, meaning people want to see you. Dr. Chung, actually, I think you've got some great content on your International Business Association for Nurses social media. So if you guys aren't following her, follow her because she's doing really, really good things on there. But you'll see her beautiful face. She's in the pictures. She's got team members that are contributing to this, right? So, you can think about, again, like take a picture with all the different pieces of equipment that you have. Talk about different health months that are out there. These are things that, again, are going to help people get to know you and really feel like you're that go-to authority. So just another few ideas, let people know some of the awards that you've won. You go to this doctor's site and he's got 48 patients commenting on what an amazing doctor and how well deserved it was that he won this award. If I'm a new person that lands on this profile, I've got quite a bit of confidence that this is actually a doctor that's going to be able to really take great care of me. You can shout out to your team. So, maybe talk about like why you became a nurse practitioner, what it is that you're passionate about, what you love about your job. What did you do before you were a nurse practitioner? What did you think you want to be when you grow up? Like all those sorts of things. Those are a fun peek behind the curtain. This is a client of ours that's, he's got his monthly newsletter that we're doing. So he's like, hey, everybody, make sure you check your email. I just sent you my monthly newsletter. He's talking about the health month with the osteoporosis month and the importance of, getting a bone density and taking your calcium and vitamin D. And then also highlighting your team. So again, the goal here is to get engagement, get comments. So anytime you do a happy birthday, everybody's going to comment happy birthday. So you have a post like that that's going to get a lot of comments. And then the next day you're posting about your webinar. The algorithm of Instagram and Facebook are going to reward you because you've got so much engagement going on in your page. They want to show more of your stuff. So the goal is to kind of weave in some of those things that are going to get a lot of comments. And again, you'll notice this is not very stock photo-y. This is actually real pictures. And it's fine to have some stock photo, like supplemental content, but you just don't want the whole thing to be stock photos. I mean, I know I'm not going to follow somebody's page that's all stock photos. It's boring. I want to learn something. Couple things to do. How to grow your following. Because again, don't expect people to engage with you if you are not engaging with other people. This is not like, let's make an Instagram and then be like, well, why is nobody commenting on my stuff? And I'm like, well, how many people's stuff are you commenting on? Right? It's supposed to be social. So think about people that refer to you. If you're a member of your Chamber of Commerce, go on there, look at the business owners, follow their Instagrams. They get a notification that you're following them, and then they start following you back. Think about influencers, but I say local influencers. So you don't want to work with an influencer where their audience, you have no idea where they are. They might be like national. Those people are never going to be patients. So like local celebrities, kind of like your local radio station host or your local TV station newscaster lady, those are good people to follow. You can also just look up a hashtag, your city moms. So Canton, Michigan moms, for example. And I can go and I can look at who are the people that are posting about that. Are there bloggers? Are there mommy bloggers in my area that would be good people to follow on social media? And then just again, make sure it's crazy to me. People don't have their social media on their website. You've got your email newsletter. Say, hey, everybody, we're on Instagram. We just launched a TikTok channel. Those are things that you want to make sure to do. And then just engage with people. And then if you want to put a little gasoline on the fire, you can put some money behind ads to target specific people in your area. One of the things that we offer is what we call the Dr. Social Whiz Scheduler. So this is sort of like a Hootsuite or Buffer, like a scheduling platform that'll allow you to post on Facebook and Instagram and Google and TikTok and X and all of the platforms all at the same time. But it actually is loaded with over 4,000 pieces of healthcare related content that are all proven to be highly engaging content. It also integrates with Canva. So for any of you guys that are fans of Canva and you like to do a little bit of design work in there, you can couple that right in this platform. And then you can literally schedule an entire month of content in under 10 minutes. And then you're like, cool, I'm good for the whole month of July. I don't have to think about my social media for a bit. Maybe I'm going to do a little bit of engagement, but you don't have to sit there and spend a ton of time doing posts. So however you go about doing it, just try to do it so that it's not spending hours and hours and hours trying to come up with the perfect post. Social media is going to be more branding and awareness, not as much necessarily patient acquisition. So again, that's kind of when I was saying like marketing 201, you're spending all this time doing social, you've done no search engine optimization at all. You're better off working on the SEO and the email marketing and then having the social media kind of be secondary. The last thing I want to talk about though is webinars. And webinars, obviously, I'm a huge fan of webinars. I do my own marketing webinar every single month. I absolutely love doing them. I'm very passionate about it. And all of our clients are on the same bandwagon. Like they are doing webinars on a consistent basis, typically about once a quarter. Some people are really, really ambitious and do them more frequently. But I think once a quarter is kind of a good manageable amount of them to do. It positions you as an expert. It helps people get to know you. People register, you've got a list of people that are interested in learning more about you. It is the fastest way to educate 100 people at one time. And the beauty of it, you record it once, it's pre recorded, it can be evergreen. So that person can watch it at 8 in the morning, noon, 11 p.m., whenever's convenient for them. It saves you a ton of time. So we'll see this a lot of times for, maybe somebody is starting to do hormone therapy. And people have a lot of questions on this. And the consult for hormone therapy could be quite lengthy. So maybe the person is just coming in for their annual physical every year and they're menopausal and they want to maybe have another appointment with you to actually talk about menopause management. You can say to them, listen, you know what? I have a webinar that I did all about menopause. It's on our website. Let's schedule your appointment. Why don't you check that out before we come in for the appointment? It is going to save you so much time on that consult because that person comes pre-educated. Same thing if you're launching a new service. The nice thing is it is also not as restricted on the topics when it comes to Meta or Google. We have a lot of topics that we have a lot of doctors that are doing like sexual wellness or erectile dysfunction, or they're doing, um, some controversial, I don't want to say controversial, it's not controversial, but what Google would consider taboo, let's just say. And a lot of times those are hard to get approved. Webinars, they're not looking at what's actually on your webinar. They're just looking at the landing page. So a lot of times if you are going to do a topic that's like that, it's easier to get approved to market it if you're doing a webinar than if you're just making a post. So webinars are something that's really, really powerful. There's a ton of different topics that you can do these on. This is just a handful of them. One of the things we do is we help with the slide deck, we help with the recording and editing and all of that. So that's just something to keep in mind. You do want to make sure you force people to register for these things too, though. A webinar is not record a video and put it on YouTube because you don't know who's watching. You want to have a registration page, a list of everybody that's opted in. They get to kind of watch it. They'll get the replay sent to them via email and maybe a couple of more emails to ultimately the goal here, right, is to get them to book an appointment with you. So we use automation to be able to make that seamless and not be a big time vampire to you or your team. And the cool thing that you can do with webinars, and I'm going to be doing that with the webinar today, is I'm going to strip the audio of it and I'm going to put it on a podcast. So if you think about the people that listen to podcasts, nobody's listening to the radio anymore. We're all listening to our Spotify playlist or we're listening to our podcast. And so a podcast also are people that are higher education and tend to have a little bit more disposable income. This is people ask me all the time, what are the hottest, fastest growing things in marketing? And the answer is always two things. It's AI and it's podcasting. So why not take that webinar, turn it into a podcast episode? Now you've got on your website Dr. Chung as seen on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Listen to my webinar about whatever the topic is. Adds credibility, educational tool, one piece of content that can be multi-purposed. I don't have a slide for it, but you can also take your webinar and you can run it through a piece of software like Munch, and that will slice up the webinar automatically for you in little short videos with subtitles that you can use for Instagram stories, reels, and posts. So again, pretty cool. One piece of content can give you a whole lot of additional content for marketing. So, so we'll get to the Q&A in just a second. I see there's at least one in the chat here, but this is just your quick checklist. And again, we want to walk before we run. So hopefully we've got one or two things that you guys can take away that you're like, all right, this is what I'm doing next. Whether it's taking your website, making sure that you've done a kind of audit. Are there things that need to be improved to make you stand out as that authority? Is your Google business profile optimized over all the things that we went over? Are you doing press releases? Is that something you're like, man, I love that idea. Let's do it. Email marketing. Are you tapping into consistent education with your patients that you already have in the practice? Are you making sure your social media is social? Are you positioning yourself as an authority? And then maybe set a goal in the next 3 months, do a webinar. Again, this is something that can be, it can live on and it can work for you around the clock for years to come in the future. So hopefully you guys have a couple of little things that you can take away as some ideas. If you do need help with any of this, we are happy to do a strategy call with you. This is a QR code where you can book. You'll get a link to my calendar. You can sign up for a time. I go through and I do a whole marketing analysis and give you about a 30-page report. The other freebie I want to give to everybody, and I will need you guys to email me with your actual address because when we registered, we just got your email. But we actually have a best-selling book on Amazon.com called Lady Doc Marketing, How to Become the #1 Practice in Your Area. It's about 120 pages of all of my best content. So that's something I will happily send you in the mail free of charge. So you just have to email me with your address and I'll get that out to you. The other thing is that we'll actually do a visibility scan of your website. So we'll take a look at, how are you positioned online? Do you have all the appropriate links? We'll do a scan of your website. Is your website loading quick enough? Do you actually have SEO built into your website? Believe it or not, a lot of people spent money, and I can't believe this, but they spend money on a website, beautiful design. The person had no idea how to do SEO, and they have a gorgeous looking website that Google has no idea exists. And that's because they don't have any meta descriptions on their pages. So again, that's something we can do a scan for you. We'll provide that for you, and then we'll give you a whole entire marketing report. So if you guys want to do that, we're happy to take advantage of that for you. And then also everybody that is on the webinar today is going to get access to our Doctor Marketing Toolkit. This is a DIY marketing program. You have access to all of our training videos. This is the exact training my team goes through on how to do their job and execute marketing for our clients. You will get access. There's over 80 hours of content in here. There's our MailChimp templates for newsletters. There's our PowerPoint decks for webinars if you want to do them, how to get on podcasts. There's tons and tons, Canva templates all in there. So you just have to go to drmarketingtoolkit.com and you're going to enter the code 1 month free. If you decide you want to keep it, it's $97 a month. But again, there's no obligation. You can always cancel. So that's just a freebie for you guys. All right, I will pause. How am I doing on time here? I'm going kind of over. So we'll keep it short. Let me see what sort of questions we have here. Okay, cool. So Dr. Chung, thank you. She put her Instagram handle in the chat. So make sure you guys follow her on Instagram. And then platforms that they can use for registering for webinars. So that's a good question. There's a lot of webinar software. Like I tend to like Zoom Webinar because it's not super expensive and it will make a landing page and a registration and reminders and everything for you. You can also honestly just like if you were going to pre-record it, you can just pre-record it in Zoom and have the recording, and you can use like MailChimp or Constant Contact to do landing pages and like the replay pages. So you don't need to invest in like super expensive fancy software for doing the webinars. So that's kind of what I would recommend. We
I
personally use
also
Go High Level.
recommend, yeah, I also recommend Zoom webinars. It's easier to use. It's definitely the price point is better than some of the other webinar softwares out there that can get pretty pricey. So definitely recommend Zoom webinar.
Yeah, perfect. And we're not affiliated with Zoom Webinar, so we don't
No.
get anything for telling you that. But I've used some other ones, and honestly, I feel like they're glitchy. Zoom can be glitchy, but as long as you've downloaded the latest version, it's been pretty seamless.
Yeah.
You can also stream live. So like I have a Facebook group. When I do a webinar, I can actually live stream it through Zoom Webinar right straight to my Facebook page or my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So that's always a
You can do
good
that
one
too.
to think about. So cool. Well, hey, I'm pretty
Oh,
impressed. We had a lot of people on live today, Dr. Chung.
yes, we
Um,
did.
why
The
don't you
dedicated ones.
and I know you've got a couple things coming up too. Dr.
Yes.
Chung has some amazing trainings as part of her program. So maybe you can share with us kind of what you've got coming up.
Yes. So I am going to let me see if I could share my screen.
Okay,
I
good.
think, Lori, I think you have to give me,
Oh, do I? Do I have to give you access?
I think so. Oh, I see it. I see the
Got
green
it?
share
Okay.
button. Okay.
Okay.
So yes, again, I have questions. I'm gonna ask some questions that I know
Okay.
a lot of questions that these questions always come to me. I'm gonna ask you, Lori, but for those of you who are on live and watching the replay, definitely take the time to watch it again and just go through everything Lori was mentioned, because this is really critical, like easy things that can be implemented for you to, as the title of the webinar says, be the number one go-to provider. And it really is important, and as simple as leveraging Google. Just think about how much you use Google when you're searching, you're looking for a service provider, whether it's a nail salon, a hairstylist, those types of things that you use Google for every day, a mechanic. these people are really looking for a provider. I myself was looking for a provider the recently, and I decided I needed to stop like self-treating and self-diagnosing. And I said, you know what? I need to find a new provider for myself. And I chose someone based on her reviews,
Yep.
her website. She had a picture of herself. Things like that make a world of a difference in someone deciding to book an appointment with you. So this was really good information. Now, if you loved this information, but you know what, you're like, Dr. Chung, Lori, I don't even like know what I'm doing. I haven't even started anything yet. Like, I am just dreaming and hoping I can start something. I have a master class coming up, and I am like struggling with all of my tabs open. All right, here we are.
You're like me. I've got 50,000
Like,
open
it's
at one
crazy.
time.
I got Safari, I got Google Chrome, I have Zoom, I have everything open, like my brain, right? Everything's always open. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen and then show you guys the master class, and it's free. So it is going to be next month on July 27th. We are hosting this free masterclass. It's the business startup, private practice business startup masterclass, and I'm inviting you all to join me on this free masterclass. Now, if I knew how to show it on a larger scale, I would, but
You know what?
because
Why
here we
don't
go,
I'll
present.
send it out with the replay. I can send it out with the replay. So
I got it. It's a little
there we
slow
go.
to Zoom and everything's open, but here we go. So inviting you all, that's the link to register for the masterclass. It's free. Go ahead and register. And if you are one of those people who are like, you know what, I don't know where to start. I am lost. I started and I stopped. I want to do great with marketing, but I don't even have a business to market. Go ahead and register for this free masterclass coming up next month. And it's on a Saturday. So hopefully that should be a day that you can be able to join me for about an hour and a half. And I'm going to share some ideas with you, some tips, some strategies that you can start your practice, and then you can use things that Lori talked about to actually start marketing your practice and leveraging your Google My Business and taking advantage of her $97 toolkit. So go ahead. I will put it in the chat box.
Yep, I put it in there for you.
Awesome. All right. And it will also be recorded. So if you can't join on that day, as long as you are registered, you will receive access to the recording. So just make sure you register. Even if you can't join live, you will receive access to the recording. And that way, you can get a clearer picture of the direction you want to go with
Yeah.
business, actually starting it up. And then I will give you to Lori and she'll help you with marketing.
Awesome. Yeah, we're gonna be the dynamic duo here. I love it. Well,
Yes.
this was great and appreciate all the really good feedback. I hope everybody, whether you're advanced or you're brand new starting out, you took away one or two ideas. I absolutely love Dr. Chung's focus too on like just how to get started. That I think that's the hard part is people want to get going, they don't have a clear direction. So
Right.
taking advantage of that masterclass, I think will be huge, and I'm going to send that out to my whole list as well. So,
Absolutely.
um,
And
all right,
so, Lori, those two things. So they can use that link. You put your link to, they can book a call with you,
yep,
right?
yep.
And the toolkit, they will get
I'll
information on that
email
in the
that. Yeah,
email.
I'll email that with the replay with everybody. And there's no like
Awesome.
deadline for that. Like if you decide to sign up for it in a month, like that code will still work. So we'll get that out to everybody. But this was so much fun. I had a great
Yes.
time. Hopefully everybody had a good lunch or breakfast while they were hanging out with us. And we'll be doing some more of these. So I'm really
Absolutely.
excited to and if you guys have feedback as well, like, hey, I want to
Oh, I
I want
see
to
what you
learn
mean.
about like SEO deeper dive or something like that. We'll make sure to get that for you. So
Yeah, Lori, you put the links to me only. So I'm
Oh,
just saying.
gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Okay, so we'll get it out. We will. Oh, yeah, here we go. Everyone got it. I'm probably writing only to myself. So you got
You
it.
were. It's okay
Okay.
though.
Fabulous. Sorry about that. Multitasking. So here's my book a call link too, but we'll
Yeah.
send it out with the replay.
All right.
So,
So
all
yes,
right.
everyone, you'll get the links. Don't worry.
All right. Thanks everybody. And
All right. Take
rest of your
care,
week. Have a good
everyone.
4th of July weekend too.
Yes, be safe.
All right. Take care.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.